If you stare into a mirror for long enough, something strange happens. Your face begins to distort, your eyes might bulge, and you may even see someone completely different looking back at you. And this weird effect isn't just an optical trick, it's actually a powerful tool for inducing lucid dreams. So today's lucid dreaming technique is backed by neuroscience, but it also has a long history of spiritual traditions behind it. But I don't want to waste your time, so let's jump into the mirror meditation method. So to understand this lucid dreaming technique, we need to delve into something which is both strange and scientific. What happens when you stare into a mirror for too long? In 2010, psychologist Giovanni Caputo conducted a fascinating experiment that revealed something almost supernatural about our reflections. So here's what he did. Caputo took 50 volunteers and put them in a dimly lit room in front of a mirror. The task was simply to stare at their own reflection without breaking eye contact. And after about 10 minutes of doing this, 66% of the participants saw huge distortions in their faces. A further 28% saw a completely different person staring back, and some even saw demonic or monstrous faces. And these were normal people, they hadn't been smoking anything, they weren't tired, they were just staring into their own reflection. So why does this happen? So what you see isn't an illusion in the traditional sense. It's actually your brain failing to process visual data correctly. It's called neural adaptation. So when your brain has the same stimulus for a long period of time, it starts to ignore it. And you've experienced this if you've ever worn perfume or an aftershave. When you first put it on, it smells really strong, but after just half an hour of wearing it, you completely forget it's there. And the same thing happens with vision. Your brain expects the face to remain the same. But after a few minutes, your neurons reset the image, and that leads to errors that can lead to visual distortions. So in other words, your brain makes an assumption, gets a bit lazy with it, and starts to fill in the gaps, leading to strange visual distortions. So you could think of it like a computer game where the textures start loading incorrectly. The more you stare at it, the more visual glitches appear. And this isn't a real hallucination. Your brain is still looking at a real reflection, it's just misinterpreting it. And the dimmer the light, the stronger the effect, because the shadows increase the brain's uncertainty. And here's where it gets really interesting, because a similar effect happens in dreams as well. So you've probably been on Reddit and heard people say, never look in a mirror in a lucid dream because there'll be horrible things, and there's some truth in that. So a lot of lucid dreamers report looking into a mirror and seeing their face all distorted, or not seeing a face at all, or seeing someone completely different, or sometimes even demons or scary faces. Why does that happen in dreams? So this all comes down to a part of the brain responsible for facial recognition. It's called the fusiform gyrus. And when you're awake, your fusiform gyrus is doing its job as it should do. But when you're asleep and dreaming, it's relatively shut down, similar to the prefrontal cortex. So what you get is a fusiform gyrus not doing its job properly. Therefore, when you look in a mirror in a lucid dream, you're not always going to get what you expect to see. And this is the same reason why dream characters, the people in your dreams, often will have weird faces, changing faces, or the wrong faces, because the fusiform gyrus isn't quite doing what it should. And here's the useful part. Because we have these two very similar effects occurring, one whilst you're awake and one whilst you're dreaming, we can train our waking brain to notice these facial distortions. So the mirror meditation method is oddly unique because it allows us to train ourselves directly with a standard dream sign whilst we're awake, almost exactly as it would occur when we're dreaming. We're basically developing metacognition about how our fusiform gyrus is responding. Or to put it into simple language, we're becoming more aware of how faces and reflections look. And because the probability of them being weird in dreams is very high, this training is perfect for realizing that you're dreaming. And what's really nice about the mirror meditation method is it's got a long history behind it as well. For eons, different spiritual traditions have used mirrors for various insights into the other worlds and the subconscious mind. So one of the earliest records of using mirrors to alter states of consciousness is something called ketopromancy, or mirror scrying. And this was incredibly common. The ancient Romans, the Greeks, the Egyptians all used mirrors or reflective surfaces such as bowls filled with water to seek information about the other world. Equally, mirrors have been important in the Tibetan Buddhist practice, especially the Dzogchen philosophy. Soul after death is said to pass through a mirror-like realm where it risks getting caught up in illusions and it must pass through this. So in a way, for Tibetan monks, meditation was a way to see beyond illusions, which is exactly what we're trying to do with lucid dreaming. So now that you understand the science and history behind the mirror meditation method, let's walk step by step through this technique. Step 1, set up your environment. So we need a very controlled environment for this to work. So at night, before you go to bed, you need a dimly lit space and a large mirror you can stare into, ideally in a comfortable position. So your typical bedroom mirror will work just fine, and you want a light source like a candle or a small lamp off to the side. You want less light because the less light there is, the higher the chance of getting the effect. Personally, I pop a cushion on the floor in front of a mirror and have a candle beside me, ready to go. Step 2, enter the meditative state. So sit comfortably in front of the mirror and take a long, deep breath in, hold it, and then release it. Then meet your own eyes in the reflection. Firstly, soften your gaze, just stare gently at your own face, but then lock in to eye contact. And maintain eye contact for as long as you can, ideally the entire meditation. Try not to blink too much, because that can ruin the effect, but don't worry too much either. But also focus on your breathing. Breathe in slowly through your nose for a count of 4, hold it for a count of 2, and then out for a count of 6. This breathing pattern will help you into a meditative state. And you're going to keep doing that, staring into your eyes, trying not to blink too much, and focusing on your breathing. At first, very little will happen and you'll probably have random thoughts like, what's the point of this? But give it about 5 minutes and the distortion should start to happen. Step 3, observe the mirror distortion. So roughly around 5 minutes, but it can be sooner than that, you'll start to see all sorts of strange things happen. A dream-like, misty quality to your vision. Your face may subtly distort, it may dramatically distort. You might see some completely different face in the mirror, or many fluctuating rapidly. Try to stay calm, don't panic, just observe. And remember, whatever distortions happen, that's perfectly normal. It's what to be expected with the meditation. It's the point of this meditation, so stay calm and observe. Step 4, embed a reality check into the meditation. So this is the most important part of this meditation. It's where we connect the dots between the hallucinations and lucid dreaming. So once your face starts to warp, or you get that eerie sense of unfamiliarity with yourself, this is where we step in and take control. Firstly, keep observing the distortions and ask yourself with full mental clarity, am I dreaming right now? Really ask the question seriously. And because we're asking a question, is this a dream, we need to have an answer. So an easy way to answer this is to perform the nose pinch test. So firstly, breathe through your unpinched nose, feel how that feels. Then pinch your nose and try to breathe through it. Can you breathe through your pinched nose, or does it feel the same as your unpinched nose? If you can breathe through it, you're dreaming. And at this point, the illusion will probably be broken and you'll be looking at your own reflection in the mirror, pinching your nose. But once you've done that and you've answered, is this a dream or not, return back to the meditation and continue the previous steps a couple more times, creating about 3 reality checks in total. Step 5. Once you've finished your 3 reality checks, let yourself float in the distortions for a while. And as you do that, set the intention. I will recognize the next time I see a distorted face or a strange reflection in the mirror, and I will perform the nose pinch reality check. Once you've done that, you can Put out your candle, get into bed, and let yourself fall asleep. Step 6. During waking hours from here onwards, as you're going about your daily business, pay extra attention to mirrors and people's faces. Always be on the lookout for anything out of the ordinary, and when you see it, remember to check, is this a dream right now? And now it's your turn to try this, so give this a go for at least a week. Ideally, make it part of your regular lucid dreaming practice, and report back to me how you get on in the comments. And if you want more lucid dreaming content, try watching one of the videos on the screen right now and hitting that subscribe button. I'll see you there.